Welcome to another CIRF report. This one is very unusual, very complex. What we're going to do is drill down to the biggest energy that's probably going to be affecting most or all of us, and then what sorts of behaviors do we need to do to maximize that energy. This for June 14th through June 16th. We're approaching Father's Day. Welcome to all the fathers out there. And let's go, because there's a lot to talk about. In the DreamBot, we have, you know what? Let's just combine all of them together. It's good and bad. And there's an observing the conflict. You even have like words like a stand or, stadium. But you also have, I want to highlight this word here, I. That is never before seen in the DreamBot run. And I know the originators of the Nostracotus program, that's the preliminary, that's the platform for the DreamBot that was made by George Ure and Grady. And they put in I to try to predict, foresee World War III. So this is a 3 here, and it's the first time we've ever seen it in the DreamBot run, but there's a little bit more. I want to show you the next slide because in the background, there's a little program that's being used to capture the DreamBot, and it has an automatic adding feature that adds up all the words that have positive surge scores. There just happen to be 111 words. I find that absolutely incredible that the first time we see I, there happens to be 111 words. So keep that in mind though, because that thread is going to show up in the stars. We have I, or we have 3. We have a grand water trine in the tropical water signs, and including the moon. Now the moon normally transits fast, so this is going to disintegrate quickly, but in this case we have 2 signs which really extend out the energy of that grand water trine. And we already talked about last time, we talked about the Saturn and Mars. That's going exact at 10:49 a.m. And therein lies the conflict that probably the DreamBot is showing, but the DreamBot also showed the 3. Now here's what's more. Do you notice another instance of 333? Let me show you. 1:11 a.m. Mars makes a trine exact to Uranus. 2 fairly slow planets, slow-moving planets. So this energy is going to hang out for a while. And this is part of the grand water trine. Now there's almost a kite formation happening here. That's just too much because we've got 3 days to talk about here. But what about this 111? I want to explore that's the 3rd instance so far, just in the DreamBot, the background of the DreamBot, and now the astrology. So let's go see some more. What could this possibly mean? It's obviously pointing to something. Trinity, we have, most of these religions have some sort of 3-person or 3-entity, belief system. We have in math triangle, you've got the grand water trine that I talked about. In the basic life cycle, you have birth, life, and death. In astrology, you have the 3rd house, which is ruled by Mercury, but you got communication, intellect, neighbors, short trips, school, and early childhood. In the Rave Mandala, which is human design, gate 3, you have difficulty at the beginning. So something is beginning. Then you obviously have the 3rd dimension, but then what about Neptune? He's got a 3-pronged trident. I'm not kidding you, because it's not just a happenstance. Every one of these slides is going to have an aspect to Neptune, not just one, but multiple aspects to Neptune. And there's so much more to talk about. I'm going to speed through this because all we're doing is looking for the biggest influence when we triangulate through all these different technologies. This one, we've got another opposition. It's a short term because it's the moon transiting fairly quickly on the night of the 15th. This is now Saturday. So you have another cross, but it's not a grand cross, and it's a fairly quick one. You still have the energies from Mars and Saturn, but, frankly, Mercury's going to come in here and make the opposition now to Saturn. So that energy, that it's not just a Mars energy, because you've got Mercury in that space, Mercury conjunct Mars. By the way, what I didn't mention in the Dreambot is that the good side outweighed the bad side in the collective unconscious. And with Saturn, I forgot to put the highlighter on, but Saturn and Pluto have been conjunct for a while, but they're in retrograde. And that's why I'm surmising that this Mercury and Mars is a forward-looking energy and probably going to be, arguably going to be, the good side in this case, because Saturn in retrograde, Pluto in retrograde, they tend to be looked at as the dark side. I mean, look at the colors here. They're in the dark and occluded, and you've got the deep subconscious. But not only that, you've got them in the South Node. So that's in the past and the karmic stuff and the junk from the past. Who wants that? We want to be looking forward into the future. And so Mercury, Mars, I think is far outweighed in the collective unconscious. But let's not forget about this trine up to Neptune. This is going to transfer over to Mercury here, in a few hours. And Mercury's got a sextile over to Saturn too. These are both very harmonious. The only non-harmonious aspects over to Neptune are the temporary square but to Jupiter and the moon, but that's in the evening on Father's Day, on Sunday the 16th. Otherwise, you've got, like I said before, in the morning on Sunday, you've got Mercury trining up to Neptune, still with that sextile energy. These are very slow moving planets, so that energy is going to stay there. It's going to stagnate, but it's harmonious at least. But the point is, look at all the aspects hitting up to Neptune. And with Neptune having the 3 prongs, we've got the 111 showing up in at least 4 different places in this 3 days. And so what we did was a iChing reading, and we came up with 42. 42 is called increase. And it's maximizing the potential of beginnings through expansion. It's a very expansive gate. And it's the gate we call the Rave Mandala or human design, we call them gates. But it's based on the 64 iChing hexagrams. So we're maximizing the potential of beginnings through expansion. What does that sound like? That sounds just like Mercury conjunct Mars over the North Node, to me at least, anyway. So that energy is there, but the 111 clearly is up here. And so I am positive that when we have words like the recommendations from the iChing Gate 42, the potential of growth is its power to mature through completion of each cycle. This is the gate of maximizing the potential of beginnings through expansion. This is also the gate of bringing things to a close so that the next step can be taken. The power to complete a cycle is the heart of the growth process. The power to complete a cycle is the heart of the cycle. And then what it goes on to say is that it's the experience of the now is the important part of this. So let's go back to Friday with the grand Water Trine. These are emotions. Waters, the tropical zodiac is what we're looking for. And lo and behold, it's all water signs. And even in the moon energy, it's extended. So that's going to be an extra 2 hours or so because there's 2 planets here. So we've got a lot of emotions there. And then you've got the conflict between Mars and Saturn, South Node versus North Node and all that. Okay, but so I'm saying that putting all this together, I'm saying the linchpin to all this is going to be Neptune because of the 111, but also because the solution is going to be Aquarius. Aquarius allows you to participate in the gate 42 because you become the observer. It's commanding you to complete cycles, which is what Aquarius is great for, starting the cycles and completing them, but also observing them. Whoops. And so we have the solution slides. This one's going out to National Dream Center. The power of 3. Behold the grand water trine forcing you to feel the conflict between Mars and Saturn. Now, let's get into more details about how to be a better Aquarian. We're going off into the stadium and we're going to observe. Observe while also experiencing those emotions. This is a very difficult place to be, but Aquarians, arguably, I mean, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but Aquarians have to be the best here at doing both. They can feel the emotion without being the emotion, without being in it. So you can kind of look at it, you can kind of observe it from a distance, but not ignore it, not dissociate from it. You can feel and experience that grand water trine without struggling against it. And so above all, according to the I-Ching and the rave and the gate 42 and the 111, that's this side, don't take sides. Don't be a part of this conflict, but watch it. Don't dissociate from it. Don't ignore it. It's part of the cycle. It's part of the experience. And so to close this CIRF report, I want to read directly out of the Book of Changes on hexagram 42. And it says, the time of increase does not endure, and therefore it must be utilized while it lasts. I'm going to close with that. And taking the Mercury conjunct Mars energy over the North Node is obviously in the collective unconscious, the most powerful of these energies, but commanding you to experience it all, take advantage of all this forward energy. It doesn't last forever, and definitely don't waste your time taking sides on this conflict if you feel conflicted. All right. I think that's it, everybody. Thanks for being here and subscribing and liking and sharing. I really appreciate everybody's support. We will see you hopefully on Sunday, but it is Father's Day, so we'll see. Thanks, everyone.